Let's get into one of my favorite topics on the show: babyface and heel. Now, for those who may not know, babyface wrestling terminology means good guy, heel's a bad guy, tweener is someone in between. So I came up with a list of athletes or celebrities, and myself and the panel, we're going to decide whether they're babyface, heel, or tweener. Now, the first one, the truth, Paul Pierce. BRF, you go first.
He was a baby face when he played, but I definitely think he's a heel now. I mean, just some of the just some of the thing that man has said, like whether it was like doing like the ESPN gig or what caused him to lose the ESPN gig. We're not going to talk about that video. We ain't going to talk about that video right now. And but just like some of the things he's like said, like I guess if you want to call them hot takes, but yeah, he just I don't know. It's like some people just kind of go out their way for the clickbait and the rage bait and all that other stuff. Some of the things they say, and I feel like Paul Pierce. I mean, he's a smart dude. He is a basketball guy. I mean, we remember his career. We remember his career. He's one of the most underrated players we've ever seen in the NBA. I just feel like he tries too hard with some of his takes and some of his thoughts sometimes. And you just want to look at him and you just be like, dude, like some of the stuff you went through, like during your NBA, your playing career, some of the stuff you went through that you were still able to make a very profitable career. You got a championship in Boston. I mean, sometimes just
I think the funny one was him trying to make the argument he better than D Wade.
we ain't even going to talk about that one. That is one we're not going to discuss. I heard he did that, and I heard he said that, and I was just like, bro, like what? Like no, like the top three shooting guards of all time are Mike, in my opinion, are Mike, Kobe, D Wade. That should be the only thing that's not up for discussion, in my opinion. And then everybody else, hey, pick them as you may. But I feel like Mike, Kobe, and D Wade are the three greatest shooting guards of all time. So the fact that Paul Pierce would even say he's a better shooting guard than D Wade, the only thing Paul Pierce probably did better than D Wade at was shoot the three ball. But everything else, from defense to playmaking to the mid range to the athleticism, it was all Dwayne Wade. So the fact that he would even say that he was better than Dwayne Wade is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. So I'm gonna need Paul Pierce to not speak when it comes to who he thinks he's better than. You better than Antoine Walker. That's as good as it's gonna get. Just be quiet, do your thing, and just have fun talking. But some things just don't talk about. Like don't ever try to compare yourself to Dwayne Wade ever again. Just don't do it. Don't do it. You're one of the most underrated players to do it. You won a championship. You did your thing for a long time in Boston. Heck, I remember that series when he was with the Wizards playing the Hawks in the first round and gave us all type of fits. I mean, I couldn't stand Paul Pierce that series. He was killing us. Like I'm talking about clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. Won Washington the game. Like I couldn't stand that man. So the fact that the Hawks got out that series with that win, I was happy because I was tired of seeing Paul Pierce. The dude is when it comes to shot making in the clutch, he was as good as it got. But when it comes to talking about points in the clutch, you need to shut the hell up and just go on about your business and just let it and just let it be. So he was a baby face when he played, but he's a heel when he opened his mouth. So right now he is I mean there's no tweener area with him now. He is a heel because some things are better left unsaid. And Paul Pierce sometimes just needs to stop talking. He just needs to stop talking. But bad enough, you lost your job at ESPN the way you did. Sometimes just shut up, live your life, and just enjoy yourself. Because, bro, like, no, just stop. Look, look. You know the sport. We know you know the sport. You got a high basketball IQ. We know you know the sport. But just your hot takes, just no, just no. Paul Pierce is a heel, and it just yeah. I've done my talking about Paul Pierce. Sometimes he just need to be quiet. Sometimes like we just gonna leave it at that.
Champ?
Oh, oh, BRF, man. Uh, I'll say tweener, man, because when you think about the heroics that he did on the court, it's epic. The wheelchair game, not to mention, never mind. The wheelchair game, not to mention him being, the assault that happened on him at the club, and he was still able to come out of that and do his thing. Winning that Boston team a championship for the first time since 1986, almost 25 years without a title for the flagship franchise, taking them to a conference championship, basically putting that team on his back, him and Antoine Walker, being with that franchise doing for 10 years. I mean, a lot of great things on the court. Like BRF said, when you get off the court, though, it's okay to have an opinion.
Lord.
But in the great work, there's a famous cartoon that was out when we was kids by the late great Tex Avery. I don't know if the kids out there understand who Tex Avery was. He was one of the greatest cartoonists of all time. And he had a cartoon that said, every time I open my mouth, I put my foot in it. And that's exactly what happened with Paul Pierce at time. It's some of the most mind-boggling opinions that you could just ever have. As far as him saying he's better than Dwayne Wade, what basketball player is not going to say he's better? I mean, I'm just going to be real. If you ask anybody who the greatest podcaster was, who the greatest podcaster is, hey, they may say themselves, which I have no problem with that. You should be confident in your ability or in your own right. I understand. Plus, throughout your career, you only had there was only a small window in your career where you had that air specialty type player on your team with you, which he made a great point when he said that. But as far as doing what you did to lose your job at ESPN, you know what? I'm just gonna be real, man. That just goes back to what I said. See, the thing is, just because you get old, that doesn't mean you're gonna get wiser. Because there's a lot of such things as old fools out there, and Paul Pierce is an example of that. I mean, don't be an old fool. When you're a young fool, we understand, but when you're an old fool, it's insulting to the human race at a certain point. So, because you're supposed to know better than that, you're supposed to be wiser than that. You get in trouble at ESPN because of some foolishness that you did. To this day, I don't understand that. It's just like,
Yeah, but Champ, he didn't care because at the end of the day, where is he right now? He's in Fox Sports.
I understand that. But the thing is this. It could have been avoided in the first place.
I understand that, Champ.
You not caring is one thing, but you avoiding something is quite another. I don't care if there's a lot of things that I don't care if it happens, but I'm going to avoid it like the plague. I mean, I understand you already had millions. You probably made 200 and 300 millions of dollars in the league, and you knew already that you had your ticket stamped at another network just in case. But just because you have the power to do it, that doesn't mean you should do it. Young men are watching you, man. Young men are watching you and looking up to you. Don't be an old fool. It's all right to be a young fool. Don't be an old one. And keep doing the stuff that you was doing when you was 21 years old. Just because you get older and have a lot of money doesn't mean you get to go out here and be foolish like you was when you 21. It's foolishness. It's dumb. Then some of these recent interviews that are coming out, just I don't understand it. It's like, bro, sometimes it's okay to keep your mouth closed, man. You ain't gotta always open your mouth speaking ghostwritten stuff out of your face. You ain't always gotta have an opinion that's powerful. Sometimes it's best to say nothing. When they say you have the right to remain silent, they use that, they tell you that so you won't say nothing stupid. So sometimes it's best to remain silent and understand and read the room. People are, the thing is with some of these commentators and some of these sports personalities, some of these YouTubers, they're looking for you to say something. If you ever notice in this world, you don't ever get credit for saying nothing smart. Nowadays, you don't ever get credit for saying nothing smart. You always get the most attention for saying something stupid.
Essentially, essentially, what does that say about us if we're attracted to stupidity?
So, and that was my next point. So they're looking for you to say something stupid. Why do you constantly give them what they want? Rather than being smart about it, you're media trained. You know better than this. You've been around the league. You've been around the world. Some of the stuff you're saying is just making you look silly at this point. And I don't understand why, with all of the media training that you have, with some of the things that you went through, with you being a former NBA player, with you being a commentator, why do you constantly open your mouth and stick your foot in it like that? That's the thing that I don't understand. If you, in the great words of someone famous, you're going to wake up one day and find yourself in a bad situation because of your darn mouth. So it pays to close your mouth. Your mouth, the greatest weapon that God ever gave any human being was your mouth, because it can hurt you or it can do a lot of good things. Your greatest weapon ever on your body is your mouth, because it can burn buildings. Like they say down south, loose lips sink ships. I'll say it again, loose lips sink ships. So stop letting your lips being loose and stop sinking yourself, because you sound crazy. It gets ridiculous after a while, and you start to question. It's just like, bro, did you take any media training class? Do you need to go back to Kansas and learn something? Because some of this stuff that you're saying is making yourself look silly, and you're making the young men, and you wonder why young men don't listen to the older crowd because of people like that. That's just, it's sickening at a certain point.
Lost his job because all he wanted was a tip drill. A tip drill.
What the?
Next on the list, and I agree, heel. Skip Bayless.
Ooh. 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 That's that's a heel and a half right there. Skip Bayless is a heel. And I don't know. It's like Skip Bayless, like he goes out of his way to just tick people off with some of his takes. Like I don't think he believes everything he says, but he knows if he says it, he'll get the attention that he needs to keep himself relevant. And then bam, that's views, that's clicks, that's money in his pocket. Like he did one of those those debates. And I think it was like Michael Jordan is laughably better than LeBron James, and it's not even close. And he had like a bunch of kids that's ready to debate him. I hadn't seen it yet, but I mean, Skip Bayless is. It's like I don't know. The thing I never liked about Skip Bayless, he was always very biased in his takes to like certain people, like with Tom Brady. I felt Skip Bayless is the reason that Undisputed is pretty much no more, because he basically called Shannon Sharp jealous of Tom Brady because Shannon Sharp wanted to call out Tom Brady because Tom Brady wasn't playing up to par. And I mean, if I feel like if no matter what your name is, no matter how good you've played in your career, if you're not playing up to par at a certain point, you should get criticized for it. I mean, this is sports media. This is what we do. We're not playing well, we're going to let you know. Ultimately, this is what we want to get paid to do down the line. This is like our craft that we are trying to hone for ourselves. But like to call Shannon Sharp, who's in my opinion, one of the 5 greatest tight ends to ever play the game, to call him jealous of Tom Brady was just about as low a blow as you can deliver to appear like that, to say he's jealous of another player. Shannon Sharp ain't got no reason to be jealous of anybody. So Skip doing that to Shannon Sharp was just low. And then he's had so many bad takes. Like Johnny Manziel is going to be bigger than Cleveland than LeBron James was, and Johnny Manziel couldn't even last a season. And I said it in the throwdown on the throwdown podcast. Shout out to Brandon from the block. I said it. If you watch Johnny Manziel's tape from college, you knew it wasn't going to translate to be a pro quarterback. You knew he wasn't going to translate to be a pro quarterback. I mean, could he play out of structure? Absolutely, but that's where he thrived in. Honestly, all of his big plays were out of structure. There was very little in the pocket. There was very little accuracy, anticipating throws, pocket presence. I mean, there was none of that. It was all just like him. Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M was like one of the biggest freestyle jobs you'll ever see. That's what it was. It was a freestyle job. And then when he got to the NFL, to Cleveland, and it was time to play with structure, he couldn't do it. So it was like, and I think the funniest was like the ungodly admiration and hero worship that he had for Tim Tebow. Like, bro, like, it's okay. It's not that deep. Tim Tebow was not a good quarterback. Yes, let me tell you something. When Tim Tebow hit the fourth quarter, he turned into Joe Montana. The way he would lead the Denver Broncos that year to some of those victories they got, and ultimately getting them to the division round, getting that wild card run against Pittsburgh. But just Skip Bayless just always had the ability to get you riled up on one of his on any one of his takes. He just had the ability to do that. And because I feel like he's that ultimate guy that a lot of us that would love to debate if we got the chance, just to see if we could get the opportunity to shut him up. I honestly God feel that way. It would be and then the story that came to light like a month or two ago with him and that incident, and y'all know what I'm talking about. There's like that didn't help his credibility at all. So that made him that made him even more of a heel in my eyes. So Skip Bayless to me is definitely a heel, just from the standpoint that whereas Paul Pierce really tried too hard with a lot of his hot takes, I feel like Skip Bayless knows exactly what he's doing with his. It's just that I don't know. A lot of his takes really have no leverage and no weight to bear and no leg to stand on. But all he's got to do is get you to debate him on it, and he's already won. So yeah, Skip Bayless for me is definitely another heel.
Unequivocally heel. I mean, let's just go back to his history. Remember the Troy Aikman situation, to which primetime Deion Sanders even had to call him out and confronted him on national television. We've talked about that, champ. The DeMar Hamlin tweet, to which Shannon Sharp didn't show up to work. And then when Shannon Sharp the next day, while he's giving his monologue, Skip interrupt him. And I just felt like from that moment, Undisputed was over. And look, he had ESPN with Stephen A. Smith. Then he goes to Fox Sports, Undisputed. So we've seen a pattern of behavior. We really need to watch. There has to be a 30 for 30 or some type of documentary on Netflix about these sports media shows like First Take and Undisputed. Needs to be chronicled because of so many controversies. I mean, with Skip, Shannon, Joy. I mean, and but to me, Skip Bayless is no question about it, heel. And I mean, look, just look at his history. Look at what he said about Dak Prescott. And this is at the time when Dak Prescott lost his brother. You know what happened during that time of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention when he made that state. I don't want to get too much on with Skip Bayless, but his history will always speaks for itself, and I just say heel. I just say heel because again, even when he tries to give a ridiculous take, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel cool listening to him anymore. It's just like, I'd rather watch something else. I'd rather do something else than to listen to another bad take about LeBron or the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it's plain. So let's just move on and let's just go to something else. Champ?
He's an unequivocal heel, man. And y'all basically said it. Skip Bayless is the guy that, in my humble opinion, invented the modern day hot take. He invented it. Because he's just one of those guys that just got famous for inventing these, saying these outlandish things about players, about coaches. Then you add in the Shannon Sharp factor, now the incidents, and it's just like, as journalists, you have a responsibility in order to be authentic with your audience and tell them the truth, not just be a person that has a lot of hot takes, you know. Hot take is good because guess what? It makes sports more interesting. But when you buy into something so much to the point where that's your whole identity as a journalist and not telling the truth, not doing research, not perfecting your craft, it gets to the point where it's redundant at a certain point. And you talking bad and you saying a lot of hurtful things, not just to hurt yourself in your career, but other athletes and other people. When it comes to that act, you are a recidivist, a repeat offender. You are a recidivist, and a lot of the things that you said, I am surprised that people are even giving you opportunities anymore. And the best thing for you right now is to be on your own platform, because I'm not so sure even if I am a big network, even if I am an up and coming network, I'm not so certain I want you on my network and give you an opportunity. Because like I said, even back in the day with your days as a Cowboys beat writer, you were saying certain things about Troy Aikman that Deion Sanders himself literally got super up. You could tell in that interview with him and Pam Oliver how upset that Deion was at Skip Bayless for saying that. So, not to mention, you just all of this. I've never seen up until we've all seen players get criticized. Even the great Michael Jordan got criticized. And they used to do it in subtle ways. BRF, you're old enough to remember. Remember when they used to have the 6-pack T-shirts?
Mm-hmm.
You remember the 6-pack T-shirts? And what they used to do was the NBA or these little vendor companies would have these 6-pack T-shirts, right? And it'd be like a carton of eggs, and it would say 6-pack, and they would put the 6 greatest players from that team. To make fun of Michael Jordan, they put 6 Michael Jordans in there. But they said he was a ball hog. So there's always been athletes that were criticized, even in the most subtle ways. But for Skip Bayless from the jump to just show so much disrespect to LeBron, I'm like, bro, like, it's like I said, and I partially blame Skip to the way of how talking points are in the NBA right about now. Because we're not basing them on facts. We're not basing them on accomplishment. We're not basing them on team success. We're basing them on opinion and hot takes at this point. And I think Skip Bayless is partially to blame for that, because it's like when you saw greatness, although they didn't have as many championships as another person, you acknowledged it and you moved on. And at a certain point, we wasn't afraid to acknowledge the fact that 2 people can occupy a space of greatness. We wasn't afraid to say that. The only reason why Michael Jordan, in my humble opinion, gets put in these GOAT conversations so much is during this era, he did not have to occupy a space of dominance with anybody. If you look back at NBA history, there was always somebody occupying the space of dominance with someone. You look in the 60s, it was Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell. Look at the 80s, it was Magic and Bird. When you look at the 2000s, you can say three people really occupied that space if you really want me to be honest, because it was Shaq, Kobe, and Tim Duncan. They occupied their space of the greatness. From the 2010s on, it was Steph Curry and LeBron. So I don't understand why people get so caught up in this greatest of all time conversation. Because the thing is, two people can occupy a space of greatness at the same time. I just think that we put George so much above everybody because he was fortunate enough not to have to occupy that space with someone. There was no one in the 90s bigger than he was. When you go through history and see in the NBA, there was always another person occupying a space of greatness. Michael Jordan didn't have that. So I think that's why people put him on so much of a pedestal. But for him to say some of the most craziest things and just be celebrating people's losses, that 2000, I've never seen someone so obsessed and so just to the point where it's just almost cringeworthy to see someone fail. And
no one was more obsessed than him when he saw LeBron fumble the bag in 2011 in that finals.
Yeah.
He wanted to talk about it because he knew he would love to make that argument just to say, see, he's not better than Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I've never seen someone that want to see somebody fail that much. The thing is this, and I'll end it on this note. We got to check the reason why we revere Michael Jordan so much is that we allowed him, although we criticized him for being a ball hog, we allowed him to grow up. And we allowed him to grow into his greatness. We understood that one man couldn't win it by himself. And when we finally got his chance, he persevered. And people can criticize LeBron all they want to. He had to take matters into his own hands. And that's the thing. They tell you that everywhere you go. You have to take your career into your own hands. And that's all LeBron did. He took his career into his own hands. He didn't wait on the general manager or a team owner in order to say, here you go. You see what's that? You see what waiting is getting Giannis right now, right? So yeah, we allowed Jordan to grow. We allowed, even when Kobe Bryant, even after the incident happened, we're gonna say the incident, we allowed him to learn from the mistake and grow into himself again. The reason why I think LeBron next to Wilt Chamberlain is the most criticized basketball player ever, because of guys just like Skip Bayless. They criticized him from the jump. From the jump, it was championship or bust. If you don't win 6 championships, don't win 5 MVPs, don't surpass Michael Jordan, then your career is a failure. And that talking point of GOAT conversation is another reason why I think that talking points in the NBA are down, just like the ratings are down, because that's all the people want to talk about, GOAT conversation. The minute that something comes up, we want to talk about GOAT conversation. Everybody ain't a GOAT. Don't deserve to be in those conversations. LeBron definitely does. But like I said, I don't think the media allowed him to grow up. And I attribute that totally to Skip Bayless and his talking points.
Well, and his ego. I mean, Champ, he had a lot of opportunities and he blew it. Like I said, Champ, he blew it because of ego tripping. It really needs to be documented. But I'm afraid Skip Bayless may not be the undisputed heel because there's one more. Jason Whitlock.
Next.
All right, let's move on. Your facial expression says it all.
Next, it will take me all day to tell you why that he is despised in the world of sports.
Well, we know, champ.
And the fact that I don't know, did you see that video I sent you about a couple weeks ago?
About what? I know it was
about the guy. I don't want to go into too many details. This is for the kids about the guy calling him a token. Yeah. So there you have it. I'll say this: when someone inside your house says something about you, that's one thing. When somebody outside your house say something about you and it's right on the money, and it's right on the money with everything everybody inside the house has said about you, that pretty much tells the story of everything.
Sorry if I have to bring racial into this, champ. It's even gotten to a point white people are looking at him like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?
The thing is, like I said, and that's what I was trying to avoid.
Right. You could say it. You could say it. I don't care.
The people outside of your house, that means within your community, are saying the same. And the thing is, the guy that said that about him is kind of like radical, to say the least.
Yeah.
He's kind of radical, to say the least. So for someone that radical to say something about you of that nature, they see right through the stuff that you're doing. I've always said this, man. Look, I'm a big dude and I love sports, but my worst fear, and this is why I watch everything that I say before I say it. PSP, you could attribute this. I run ideas through you before I even say it sometimes, because if I feel like something is a little bit too controversial, I run idea. Hey, man, you think that's a good thing to say? I run it by people. Yes, because my worst fear, I run ideas by my father. I run ideas by a little bit of everybody before I put videos out that I feel is too controversial. Because I always say this, my worst fear in journalism, in my journalism career, I would rather face computers for the rest of my life before I ever end up like Jason Whitlock. That is my worst fear, that has to be the worst fear of any journalist in this world. I don't care if you white, black, purple. That has to be your worst fear, to be put in any conversation with Jason Whitlock.
Well, he works for the Blaze. Glenn Blake's the Blaze. That should tell you all you need to know, champ. BRF, the conversation that we're having right now, Jason Whitlock, whether babyface, heel, or
tweener. Boy, you want to talk about a personification of the sunken place? It's Jason Whitlock. It's definitely Jason Whitlock. You want the sunken place, a personification of it? It's Jason Whitlock. That man has fallen so deep in the sunken place. I don't think we'll ever fish him back out at this point. And I hate to say it like that, but the crazy thing about Jason Whitlock, early in his career, I actually liked him. Like Kansas when he was doing the sports reporters, the Kansas City Star. When he was doing the sports reporters on ESPN, he made a lot of valid points. He didn't really go out his way to really offend anybody. I mean, he talked sensible sports, and he was actually one of my favorite personalities on the sports reporters. But it's almost like I don't know what it is with these people, man. It's like they get away. They try to play. You know how to deal with that. So the woke stuff. The woke stuff.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN is a certain way. They try to project a certain thing, but then it's like, bro, like, man. I mean, if there was ever, I'm like, we got to be like 3 for 3 on like heels, because Jason Whitlock is like one of the worst ones of all of them. Because, like I said,
he's the biggest one, literally and figuratively.
Oh gosh, me being a big man. me, me,
You
me,
are mean. You are so mean. You are mean.
hey, me,
I'm
me, me,
speaking
me,
truth.
me being a bigger individual. I don't like talking about my fellow big brothers like that. But I mean, you ain't wrong. But still, like, just him just coming out and all of the athletes that he's just dogged out, from Kobe to Venus and Serena to just so many of them that he's just took it upon himself to try to uncover like the dark side of things and try to make them look like they're not what they set out to be. And it's just like, what do you gain from some of the stuff you say? What do you gain from being just this absolute, I don't know, like, yeah, I mean, basically y'all touched on it.
Money and apparently tickets to the all you can eat buffet line, because that's what he's probably doing.
Well, I tell you what though. I mean, I'm trying not to laugh, but I
As
don't
I
know,
told
man. The
BRF,
the
as I
the,
told
the Joy Taylor stuff just still kind of like, dude, like like.
that's the only thing Champ and Jason Whitlock agree on.
But at the same time though, shout out to the homie Cam Newton, because Cam Newton had to be real with this man when he said, Jason Whitlock, you are not that guy. You are not that guy. And that's one of those where it's like, you of all people, keep Joy Taylor's name out your mouth. We all know you didn't have a shot at her, so don't speak on it. Don't speak out on it like you did. Because if you did have a chance with Joy Taylor, shame on Joy Taylor for even giving you that little bit of leash. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. But yeah, Jason Whitlock is a heel. He is the personification of what the sunken place would look like. And I'm gonna just leave it at that.
I've said it multiple times. He is the sports male version of Candace Owens. He is the type of person that a lot of people, white Republicans and conservatives, they want to hear, because he is a black dude with a platform that says the type of stuff that they want to hear. And that because of that, it gravitates to them.
He's a free thinker.
Well, so is Kanye, but yeah, there's another story for another day. But as Roland Martin said it best, to quote the movie American Gangsters, simple Simon motherfuckers, and that's what Jason Whitlock is. I'm sorry, he's literally and figuratively, he's the biggest heel out there. And as soon BRF, I'm surprised you didn't see Champ's reaction, because as soon as I mentioned Jason Whitlock, he was like, next.
Oh, man. Wait, hey, wait, you think I started laughing as soon as Jason Whitlock name came out your mouth? Because as soon as you said Jason Whitlock, I immediately thought sunken place.
Again, I have seen in my entire journey, I have been a journalist, for a freelance journalist, I would say, and a content creator for like a little bit under like 5 years. I'm on my 5th year. It's like my 5th year. I started covering sports back during COVID. And I said that my worst fear in the world is to be put in any conversations with Jason Whitlock. That is my worst fear. That is why I do every damn thing I can to be fair, to be impartial, and to spit deep facts. I don't bring all of that other stuff in there. Even when sometimes it's valid, I try to keep certain subjects out of it. But the thing is, this man right here, bro, it is you, like I said, when somebody outside of your house sees you for the fraud that you are, that is saying something. And the thing is, he tried to battle the young man back, but he really couldn't say anything because he told the truth. The young man told the truth about you. He said the very thing that all the athletes and all the journalists in the world, and let's not even forget how Stephen A. Smith got him together real fast on his pod. Let's not even took that. But
Champ, not just that. The only person to further validate just how much of a problem Jason Whitlock is, only person that really came to Jason Whitlock's defense just so happens to be one Sage Steele. Remember Sage Steele, the former anchor on ESPN, who came to Jason Whitlock's defense?
Yep. Speaking of another personification of sunken place, she right there with him.
So yeah. But the thing is, you have to be fair, be impartial, and don't speak biasness. It's sad that the thing is, and people know that you're fraud because of the things that you said about Kobe before he passed away. Then when he passed, you spoke of him glowingly. We know you're a fraud.
Not just that. Oh Lord.
So
no. Hold on, Jim. Jason Whitlock, he views himself as a Christian. He talks about God and the Bible and all that other stuff. But you knocked Deion Sanders. Last time I checked, Deion Sanders is a man of faith. And of all people you bring on your show, Brett Favre, who last time I checked was accused of stealing welfare funds in the poor state of this country, Mississippi. And he even looked at you like, why are you being so hard on Prime?
sad. Tragic even. Tragic.
Champ, I don't think you need to worry about being Jason Whitlock. Trust me, that's the least of your concern. Jason Whitlock, as I've said it before, is the type of person that a lot of white Republicans and conservatives want to hear the nonsense and all that bullshit. Jason Whitlock is just, oh God. Let's move on because I can't believe let's move on from Jason Whitlock.